Discounted food for books. One amazing heartwarming decision transformed 10 lives forever. Emma's heart raced as she sat at the round table in the library's community room. The smell of burgers sizzling on nearby grills wafted through the open window, a reminder of summer's simple joys. Yet here, surrounded by comforting shelves of stories, she felt crushed under the weight of her reality. As a single mom, making ends meet each month felt like swimming against a tide of bills, food prices rising like the temperature outside. She watched her kids' faces fall when fresh fruit became too expensive, their eyes glazing over with disappointment. The ache in her chest grew deeper. Across town, Tom, the neighborhood grocer's CEO, stood in the empty aisles of his store, haunted by the empty shelves that mirrored the worries in the community. People had stopped coming, voices murmuring about rising prices and insufficient services. Tom felt like a ship lost at sea, desperately clinging to a fading mast, searching for a beacon of hope. When he met Emma at the library, her fierce passion for community sparked something deep inside him. They argued, their words echoing through the room like thunder. What if families could trade books for discounts on fresh produce? The idea lit up the air between them, a beautiful blend of nourishing minds and bodies. As Emma's eyes shone with hope, Tom felt a surge of determination. They could make a difference. They could weave a safety net of knowledge and food for the families struggling just like hers. The thought was exhilarating and terrifying. Soon the program was announced, receiving applause at first. The community buzzed with excitement over the chance to bridge a gap they all felt but couldn't articulate. But not everyone was convinced. Doubts crept in, voices questioned the logic. How could a book equate to food? As families began to hesitate, whispers turned into harsh judgments. Emma felt the tension grip her as she found herself in the middle of a storm. She believed in the project, each book a vessel of hope. And yet, the cracks in camaraderie widened. A fierce community meeting loomed on the calendar. When that evening arrived, the energy in the room was electric and heavy with distrust. Emma's heart pounded as parents pointed fingers, accusing her of pushing a privilege agenda under the guise of community service. She stood there, her face flushed, struggling to explain her intentions as tears of frustration threatened to spill. "Emma, doesn't he care about us?" a voice cried from the back, igniting a whirlwind of dissent. The solidarity she had dreamt of felt miles away, and she wondered if she had been foolish to hope. Just as someone suggested withdrawing support entirely, a brave voice sliced through the chaos. "What if we looked past the trade? What if we thought of our kids?" It was an invitation to re-examine their values and come together. As Emma looked around at familiar faces, uncertainty loomed. Could they truly unite to create change? Or was the spirit of their community destined to slip away forever? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With hope flickering in the air, Emma felt a glimmer inside her. This moment could either shatter into divisiveness or become a rallying point. She took a deep breath, ready to fight for the dream that had ignited so many hearts, hers included. But could broken trust and creased brows be mended with just words? The answer hung tantalizingly in the air, awaiting their next steps into an uncertain future. Emma stood before her neighbors, feeling the weight of their eyes upon her. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. She gathered her thoughts, pushing the desperation aside. This was a pivotal moment, and she couldn't let her community slip away into doubt. "How many of us are struggling to put food on the table?" she asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Hands crept up, some hesitantly, some with a fierce urgency. What if we could help each other? What if we could share something powerful like knowledge in exchange for what we need? The murmurs turned into hushed whispers, uncertainty crackling through the room like a sudden storm. Emma noted the shifting expressions, from skepticism to curiosity. She pressed on, her voice gaining strength. "We all love stories. They inspire our children and remind us of our shared humanity. If we invest in our kids through books, we can also help them understand the value of healthy food." She caught the eye of Mrs. Jenkins, a longtime member of the community who shared countless tales of her childhood in the library, her dark hair speckled with silver. Mrs. Jenkins, I know you've read to countless children. How did it feel to share those stories? Mrs. Jenkins' eyes softened, and she nodded slowly, recalling the smiles she'd seen. It was like giving them a piece of my heart. Each story was magic, she replied almost reverently. That was it, a spark from the past igniting the potential of the present. Emma could feel the shift. Imagine turning those stories into actual change. We can create an environment where our children have access to books and fresh food. A real chance at a better future. Tom watched from the back of the room. He hadn't spoken yet, feeling the sting from the doubts festering around him. But he saw Emma's resolve, and something inside him stirred. He stepped forward, clearing his throat. I'm in. I'll support this program. We can sell the leftover produce at a discount for those who bring in books. We can run workshops together, combining storytelling with cooking classes. It's about building a community. Let us turn this skeptics meeting into a solutions gathering. He extended his hand to Emma, and as their eyes met, something shifted. A connection forged through shared purpose. The tension began to dissipate. Others started to stand, tentative at first, then with growing conviction. Slowly, more voices joined in, embellishing the plans. One neighbor proposed hosting a weekend market. Another suggested weekly reading sessions at the grocery store. Each idea tossed around felt tangible, like waves lapping against a shore, smoothing the edges of doubt. But then the worry crept back. But what if it fails? Someone whispered. The room quieted once more. Uncertainty hanging like a heavy fog. Emma felt the air thicken again, yet she responded, her heart pounding in her chest. What if we never try? The question hung in the air, resonating deeply. We owe it to ourselves and our children to take that chance. We plant seeds and sometimes they flourish, sometimes they don't. But if we never plant them, we'll never see the flowers bloom. In that moment, a quiet sense of unity emerged. They started to talk amongst themselves, ideas flowing freely. Plans were forming, the room brimming with new energy. But just as the momentum built, an unexpected voice piped up from the back. What happens when the kids get bored with reading? All eyes turned to the young girl who had voiced a real concern. Silence fell like a blanket. Emma searched for an answer. Did this community really have the commitment to see it through? Could they adapt and grow together? Or was there a lurking doubt still ready to unravel everything they had built? The question hung in the air, heavier than before. Emma was left hoping this new chapter wouldn't slip away, yet knowing they had only just begun the fight for change. Emma stood there, caught in a moment she never expected. The girl's question stirred something deep within her. How could she make reading lively and engaging, especially when it felt risky to even try? Taking a breath, she leaned forward, her voice softer. You're right, she replied, glancing around the room, noting how tightly everyone was wound. Reading isn't just about sitting still and looking at pages. It can be a shared adventure, something bigger than ourselves. She paused, gathering her thoughts. What if we brought these stories to life? We could have book clubs where kids act out their favorite scenes, turning them into mini-plays. We could make it fun. Everyone would look forward to the next book. A murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd. Tom nodded, inspired. And what about cooking together? Each story could come with a special dish. Imagine making vegetables from the stories we read. A flicker of hope ignited in Emma's heart. Could this really work? Yes. That way, not only do we share stories, but we also nurture our bodies with what we create. She could see the gears turning. Some murmured in agreement, while others exchanged ideas. A neighbor called out, what if we have food competitions inspired by the books? A story-based cook-off could bring families together. Every spark of enthusiasm strengthened Emma's resolve. We could even invite local chefs to judge. It's not just about making meals. It's about building connections through shared experiences. As the room buzzed with energy, Mrs. Jenkins shared. Remember the story I read to you about the cooking contest at the fair? Let us do something like that. The crowd erupted in laughter and cheers, suddenly transformed by the idea of fun. Emma could feel the fear of failure melt away, replaced by a tangible fervor. But just as hope filled the air, a shadow lingered in her mind. How do we keep this going? Someone dared to ask. tuning the noise back into concern. We have to think about long-term commitment. Emma's heart sank for a moment. It was true. The thrill of their plans could easily fade as reality set in. But then she stood a little taller. We can create a committee. A group dedicated to making sure this doesn't fizzle out. We can each take turns leading activities, sharing the workload. More voices echoed her sentiments. I'll help with logistics. I can reach out to local stores. Each promise made felt like a lifeline binding them closer together. Still, the underlying worry remained. What if this energy waned? What if they couldn't rally support? Just as doubt threatened to spill over, a woman at the edge of the room stood up. We need a pledge. Let us make it official. Every person who signs up agrees to stay involved for a year, to ensure we stick together through the ups and downs. Emma's stomach fluttered with anxiety, but exhilaration quickly followed. A vow of commitment. I love it. Who's in? Hands shot up, filling the air with renewed hope. That promise seemed to hold weight, a bond tightly woven between them. As she looked around the room, Emma saw more than just neighbors. She saw a family committed to change, a community rising. Yet a quieter thought still lingered in front of her. What if they stumbled? What if just when they felt they found their rhythm, the world outside pressed down harder, testing their resolve? With the air electric with possibility, one question loomed larger and larger. Were they ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead together? Their next step wasn't just about storytelling and cooking. It was about confronting the unknown together. Emma took a deep breath, her heart racing with uncertainty and excitement. The dialogue had begun, but a real test awaited them all. The night sky deepened as the discussions continued, the chatter in the room a chorus of hope and ambition. Emma felt the pulse of the community, the way they clung to this newfound dream. Yet as the energy swirled around her, a small flicker of unease stirred in the back of her mind. She wanted this to work. She needed it to work. Okay, everyone. Emma raised her hand, calling for quiet while her heart raced. We have our ideas, we have our commitment. But we need a plan. What do we do first? Tom stood up, his demeanor shifting to a mix of excitement and seriousness. We should write a list. What are our top 3 actions to kick off this initiative? Let us make it real. Everyone leaned forward, eager. Someone shouted, a meeting place. We can't just wing it in the park. I can ask the library if we can use their community room, suggested Mrs. Jenkins, her eyes sparkling. Yes, Emma exclaimed. Ideas flowed as people spoke over one another, each suggestion igniting the next. As they brainstormed, a young boy tugged on Emma's sleeve. Can I help with the acting, Miss Emma? He looked up at her, his bright eyes brimming with enthusiasm. Of course. I need all the help I can get, she replied, smiling down at him. Something about his innocence reminded her of the simple joys of storytelling. But mixed with that joy was a twinge of fear. What if their plans didn't work? What if the challenges were too big? Would the community really come together as they had talked about? The conversation shifted focus as they crafted their initial plans, morphing the hope that filled the air into tangible steps. They outlined their first book club night and even sketched a timeline, outlining everything from setting a date to inviting families to join. Finally, someone asked, what will we do if fewer people show up than we hope? A wave of silence swept over the room. Doubt had a way of creeping in even in the happiest of moments. Emma fidgeted, her heart fluttering with uncertainty. Then we show up anyway. 1 person or 100, we keep reading and sharing. Every story has value, and every person we get to connect with matters. Her words brought a new energy, and soon the chatter resumed, but Emma couldn't shake the apprehension. She felt the weight of their dreams resting on her shoulders. As the meeting wound down, they decided to meet again the following week. Emma stepped outside, the cool air refreshing as she took a moment to breathe. The stars twinkled above like points of encouragement shining down on her. But then as she began to walk home, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Pulling it out, Emma's heart sank as she read the message from her sister. Mom is having a rough time and I think she needs you. The distraction of that news pulled Emma in 2 directions: her responsibility for her family, and her newfound commitment to the community. How could she be there for them both? Emma stood at a crossroad, torn between the stirring promise of community and the demands of her family. As a surge of emotion swelled within her, one thought rang clearly. How could she hold everything together? With more questions brewing than answers, the night seemed darker, the path ahead murkier. But one thing was certain, she couldn't back down now. It was time to step into the unknown, where real growth awaited. What challenges would test her decision next? And would she have the strength to manage it all? Emma stood on her porch, staring up at the stars that had once provided comfort, now felt more like a spotlight on her dilemma. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs. Each inhale steadied her racing heart, but thoughts of her mother loomed large, casting shadows over her mind. She thought about the book club, the laughter, and ideas shared in fervor just moments ago. But her family needed her too. Okay, I can do this, she whispered to herself, pulling her phone from her pocket once again. There was a missed call from her sister. Without a second thought, she dialed back. Emma? Sarah's voice was shaky and Emma's heart ached. What's going on with Mom? Emma asked, urgency creeping in her tone. She's really low today. Not eating much. I thought maybe. Sarah paused, collecting her thoughts. I thought maybe you could come over? Just show her you care? Emma nodded, even though Sarah couldn't see her. I'll be there soon. Just hold tight. After a quick drive, Emma arrived at her childhood home. The small house with its faded blue siding felt both welcoming and heavy with memories. Emma walked in, and the smell of something sweet baking filled the air. Comfort food. Her mother always turned to baking during hard times. A silent way of holding the world together. Mom? She called softly, stepping into the kitchen. There her mom stood, apron on, mixing batter with a vacant smile. Oh, Emma. Her mother's face lit up for a moment before fading again. You're here. I didn't expect. Of course I'm here, Emma replied, hugging her tightly. What's in the oven? Just some cookies. Thought they might help, but perhaps not. There was a heaviness in her mother's voice that Emma couldn't ignore. Emma offered a gentle smile. Let me help you. Together they worked in companionable silence, the rhythm of stirring and baking drawing them closer. But Emma could see the exhaustion in her mother's eyes, a fatigue that spoke volumes of the struggles they faced. Sarah told me you weren't feeling too good. Emma turned to her mother, her heart aching. You know I'm here for you, right? You can lean on me. Her mother paused, looked down, then wiped her eyes. I don't want to burden you. I know you have your own life. Your dreams. Emma took her mother's hands in hers. Mom, this is my life and you're a part of it. I can manage both. I want both. A flicker of recognition crossed her mother's face. You're really trying to build something special in that little community? I am. We're starting a book club, a way for everyone to come together again. But right now I want us to come together. Moments passed, both women lost in thought. The mix of cookies and the warmth of connection filled the air. But Emma couldn't shake off the feeling that something was unresolved. I think you should come, Mom. Join us, Emma suggested, hoping to bridge the gaps in both their worlds. Her mother seemed to brighten momentarily, but doubt clouded her expression again. What if I can't? What if I'm not enough for the group? Stop that, Emma urged, her voice firm yet gentle. You're more than enough. Everyone has their struggles. And sharing what we read might even lift your spirits. Maybe, but it's been so long since I felt part of anything. Then let me help you with that. Let us start this journey together. As they baked, the kitchen filled not just with the smell of cookies, but with the promise of new beginnings. When the treats were finally out of the oven and cooling on the rack, Emma felt lighter. Perhaps this was the first step in mending what had felt broken. As her mother smiled, Emma's phone buzzed again. It was a message from Tom looking to confirm their next meeting, and it read, Can't wait to announce our first book. Just wanted to make sure you're ready. Her heart raced again, torn between excitement for the book club and concern for her mom. Could she really juggle both? Would this newfound hope extend beyond the community and into her family? With thoughts swirling, Emma realized the real challenge lay just ahead. How would she make space for all the missed connections in her life? The warmth of the kitchen felt comforting, but Emma's thoughts were anything but cozy. With her phone buzzing beside the cooling cookies, her mind raced between her family's need for her and the thrill of her new project. She shot a glance at her mother, who had turned back to the counter. The sparkle of joy in her eyes dimmed once more. Mom, Emma said softly, what if we make the book club about more than just reading? What if we bring people together to share recipes too? We could call it a books and bakes night. Her mother paused, brow furrowing slightly. Sharing recipes? Oh honey, I don't know if I'm up for that, why not? You're one of the best bakers I know. We could start with family recipes. It'll be fun. Emma watched her mother's face. We could invite neighbors, friends, whoever wants to join. Emma could almost see the gears turning in her mother's mind. A place where people celebrate togetherness over food and books. Her voice trailed off. Yes, we could even tie it in with the book themes. Like discussing Little House on the Prairie while making homemade bread. Emma chuckled, feeling the excitement build in the space between them. The corners of her mother's mouth twitched upwards. That actually sounds nice. As they talked, Emma could see her mother's initial doubts dissolving. The laughter came easier, and soon they were reminiscing about old family gatherings filled with food and stories. They shared favorite recipes like they shared secrets, each one uncovering a delightful memory. Just then, Sarah's voice echoed from the hallway. Emma? Mom? She appeared at the door, eyes round with curiosity. What's all this? She gestured at the warm ambience filling the room. Just planning our first books and bakes night, Emma beamed, the idea taking flight. Oh, I love that, Sarah exclaimed, her face illuminated with enthusiasm. What can I do to help? You can spread the word. Let us get everyone excited, Emma said. A neighborhood event? Their mother's voice had a tremor of hope. I wouldn't feel so alone that way. Emma stepped closer to her mom, squeezing her hands. You won't be alone. This is about connection between neighbors, friends, and us too. With newfound determination, they spent the next hour drafting a simple flyer. Emma felt the adrenaline surge within her, feeling like they were pulling something valuable from the past into their present. Her mom slid in her treasured cookie recipe, and Sarah added ideas for games and book themes as they finished. A sense of unity enveloped the kitchen. For the first time in weeks, a weight lifted from Emma's chest. They were not just three women connected by blood, they were a team. But then the phone buzzed again, this time a message from Tom reading. Let us make this the best book club ever. Everyone's counting on you. Abruptly, the excitement ebbed as pressure washed over her. How could she truly lead this project while ensuring her mother felt supported? Emma's heart raced as doubt crawled back into her mind, whispering the unspoken question. What would happen if she fell short of everyone's expectations? Emma's pulse quickened, her mind tangled in uncertainty. Could she balance everything, the community's needs, her mother's struggles, and the new vision she had for their bond? With deep breaths, she glanced at her family, noticing the small smiles spreading across their faces. They were part of this too. But could they really transform both their lives and the lives of others? Emma took a moment, her heart pounding with hope and hesitation. Maybe this was the beginning of a beautiful journey, but would it hold as much promise as she hoped? As uncertainty loomed like clouds before a storm, Emma steeled herself for what lay ahead. The next step had to be taken. Could they truly forge ahead and create something remarkable? Or would the weight of her fears hold them all back? The sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the neighborhood as Emma watched from the kitchen window. Her heart raced with anticipation, yet a nagging worry lingered at the back of her mind. Would anyone really show up for their books and bakes night? What if it didn't go as planned? Emma, stop staring out the window, Sarah laughed, breaking her concentration. You're making me nervous. Yeah, you're right, Emma replied, forcing a smile. I just want this to be special. For Mom, for us. Her mother stood by the counter, organizing the ingredients for a batch of cookies. There was a new lightness in her movements, as if the potential of the event had sparked something deep inside her. Emma saw her mom's fingers dance over the flour and sugar, measuring each with care. Mom, are you feeling okay? Emma asked, a mix of concern and admiration filling her voice. Her mother looked up, wiping her hands on a dish towel. I'm feeling better than I have in a long time, Emma. I think sharing these recipes might do us all good. I'm glad to hear that, Emma replied, relief flooding her chest. This path they were on wasn't just about food or books. It was about healing, connection, and rediscovering joy. The doorbell rang, sending a jolt of excitement through Emma. That must be Mrs. Thompson. She raced to the door, opening it wide to reveal their elderly neighbor holding a fresh apple pie. Surprise! Mrs. Thompson beamed. I couldn't resist bringing this for your event. Oh wow, thank you. Emma squealed. You're the first one here. I wouldn't miss it for the world, dear. I've been dying to meet the new neighbors, she replied, stepping inside with a warm smile that lit up the kitchen. As more neighbors trickled in, Emma felt an unlikely warmth spread through her. They came bearing not just baked goods, but laughter and stories, pieces of their lives that filled the room with a rich tapestry of connection. Is that your famous chocolate chip recipe? Someone shouted, pointing to her mom's cookies. Emma glanced at her mother, who looked for the first time like she was truly enjoying the present instead of worrying about the future. The kitchen buzzed with conversation and laughter, washing away the earlier tension. Okay, everyone. Let us gather around the table, Emma called, her voice cutting through the light chaos. We'll start the discussion about the book and then get to the good stuff, the food. As they settled in, Emma felt a swell of gratitude. This was what she had hoped for, a community coming together, sharing not just recipes but experiences. But as she looked around, her gaze fell on Tom, who had just walked in with a few friends. A jolt of anxiety twisted her stomach. He smiled brightly, yet she felt a sinking realization. Was he expecting something more from her? Perhaps a speech or a flawless event. Pushing the thoughts aside, she forced herself to speak. Tonight is about connecting. We'll discuss the books, but let us celebrate the recipes that tell our stories too. The room erupted with applause and cheers. Emma took a deep breath, letting the warmth wash over her, reassuring her thoughts. Perhaps, just maybe, she wouldn't have to carry this burden alone after all. That it was then that her mother squeezed her hand, a silent show of support that spoke volumes. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes. This feeling, this unexpected joy, was everything she had wanted for her family and their community. Yet, in the back of her mind lingered the question, would this evening truly be the turning point for her mother? As laughter echoed through the kitchen, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the start. With new hope, she glanced at the gathering, the energy tangible in the air. The evening felt alive, vibrant, and yet, as if something deeper was still waiting to be discovered. Could this small gathering hold the key to healing not just her family's wounds, but the community's as well? Emma's heart raced at the possibilities, the stories yet to be shared. What would tonight unveil? As the conversation flowed like rich chocolate batter, Emma felt a warmth crescendo in the room. Each laugh, each shared story stitched a stronger bond among them. It was a beautiful noise, the kind that made a house feel like a home, and she couldn't help but bask in it. Let us start with the Midnight Library. Who's read it? She asked, lifting her voice above the chatter. A few hands shot up, Mrs. Thompson's being the most enthusiastic of all. Oh, I adored that book, Mrs. Thompson exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like the pie she brought. It made me think about all the choices I've made in life. If I could pick a different path, would I? Emma nodded, feeling her heart leap at the connection. Exactly. It's a reflection on regrets and the choices we're afraid to make. She glanced at her mother, who was now actively listening, leaning in with curiosity. Sometimes it feels like we're stuck in one story, doesn't it? A voice chimed in from the back. Tom. His grin was easy, but there was a depth in his eyes that made Emma's cheeks warm. But those choices can shape us, lead us to new beginnings. Yes, Emma replied, her excitement bubbling over. And that's what we're doing here tonight. We're mapping our own stories through food and shared experiences. The applause from the small group was immediate, and Emma felt a rush of gratitude for this moment. It was working. Truly was. Just then someone called out, "What about your story, Emma? How did you get into cooking?" She froze for just a moment, but something in the atmosphere shifted. Encouragement flooded in. Well, it's been a bit of a journey," she said hesitantly. She could feel the eyes on her, the warmth of their attention pushing her to open up. Cooking was a way to bond with my mom when things felt hard. Her mother winced slightly, but Emma pressed on, wanting to make the moment count. It helped me to find joy when everything else felt overwhelming. It was like creating a little magic. A comfortable silence followed, punctuated by the gentle clink of forks against plates, as if everyone were processing her words. Emma darted a glance at her mom, who now seemed to be reflecting rather than retreating. "Can I share something?" Sarah interjected, raising her hand. "When Emma was younger, she used to bake just to cheer me up. She made these little chocolate chip cookies, and no matter how bad a day I had, they brought me back." "You're right. They always made the house smell amazing, Emma replied, her voice tender. And they are the only cookies I make now, by the way. Suddenly laughter burst out, a joyful release that danced through the room. Emma felt weight lift from her shoulders. They were sharing stories, vulnerabilities, they were creating a tapestry of collective memory. However, amid the warmth, Emma spotted a flicker of sadness in her mother's eyes. It worried her. She wanted this to be a time of healing, not a trigger for old memories. But to transform, one first had to feel. Just as Emma was beginning to process this, she caught Tom's gaze, steady and inviting. There was something in him that made her want to confide, to explore deeper. What was this connection between them? But before she could unravel that thought, a loud knock broke the moment, echoing through the kitchen. Everyone turned to look at the door. Confusion danced across their faces. Curiosity piqued. Who could it possibly be? And why would someone interrupt such a moment of connection? With a racing heart, Emma approached the door once more. As she reached for the handle, a sudden thought gripped her. Could someone who walked through that door change everything they had built in this room? Taking a deep breath, she opened it, ready to face the unexpected. What awaited her on the other side could either cement their newfound bond or throw it all into chaos. What was she about to uncover? The door swung open to reveal a tall, broad-shouldered figure. Emma blinked, taking a moment to process the sight before her. It was Jacob, the owner of a local food market renowned for its charitable initiatives. His warm smile radiated through the dim light, and he held a large basket overflowing with various baked goods and canned foods. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought I'd join the party, Jacob said, his voice booming yet friendly. The room erupted into chatter, surprised and excited voices intertwining. Emma felt momentarily taken aback, but then a wave of relief washed over her. Jacob was a familiar face, someone known for kindness, especially when it came to the community. Jacob! Mrs. Thompson exclaimed. What a wonderful surprise! Emma stepped aside, her heart swiftly calming as she ushered him in. The aroma of the pastries wafted through the air, mingling with the lingering scent of Mrs. Thompson's pie. I brought some goodies and I figured I could share a few stories while I'm here. Is that all right? Absolutely, Emma responded, her enthusiasm returning. The group scooted closer, forming a semicircle around Jacob. The laughter rekindled as he started to tell tales of his adventures in the food business, the many times he went above and beyond to connect with those in need. He was a natural storyteller, weaving humor with poignant moments of inspiration. As he spoke, Emma watched her mother. Jacob's words seemed to pull her in, and for the first time that night, Sarah was smiling, her eyes alight with recognition and appreciation. Emma's chest tightened with hope. Maybe this was exactly what her mother needed, a reminder that goodness existed, that people cared. Do you remember the time we turned old bakery bread into donations for the shelter? Jacob laughed, eliciting more chuckles from the group. Some thought I was nuts, but I knew it could make a difference. Actually, that was brilliant. Sarah chimed in, her voice filled with admiration. You really have a way of turning what many would see as wasted into treasures, Jacob. A genuine warmth filled the room as Jacob began to share stories of families transformed by small acts of kindness, of community members inspired to take action because someone believed in them enough to offer a hand. The atmosphere shifted from curiosity to a newfound sense of purpose. But as the laughter echoed, a sudden weight settled on Emma's heart again. With every hero's story came the silent questions she had about her own path. While Jacob painted a picture of hope, she felt the shadows of uncertainty creep back in. Emma, Jacob's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Your mom mentioned you have a talent for cooking. Would you consider helping me with a community cooking class? Could change lives just like it did yours. The suggestion hung in the air, a life buoy amidst her swirling uncertainties. Emma's heart raced, excitement and fear coursing through her veins. Could she step into a role that felt both daunting and exhilarating? As the others murmured their encouragement, she stole a glance at Tom, who wore a look that was equal parts support and intrigue. Would she dare to take the step into this unknown, to embrace the opportunity to extend her love for cooking beyond the kitchen and into the community? And right then, just as she was about to voice her decision, another knock echoed through the kitchen. The energy shifted again, curiosity thrumming in the air. Who else could possibly walk through the door? Emma's heart raced anew. Would the arrival be just another surprise, Or would it unravel the fragile threads that were weaving together a night of profound connection? As Emma opened the door, she felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Standing there was a familiar face, yet one that made her heart sink just a bit. It was Greg, the town's mayor, known for his grand ideas but also for his heavy-handed approach. The laughter in the room stilled, faces turning with apprehension as he stepped inside. "Good evening, everyone." Greg's voice boomed, yet it carried a weight that felt heavy. The smiles faded slightly. "I hear there's a gathering of great minds and vibrant spirits." Emma's mind raced. Would he crush the delicate momentum they had created? "Jacob, I see you've joined the festivities. I'd love to hear about your latest community-driven initiatives." Greg's attention shifted, momentarily pulling the focus away from Emma. The crowd seemed to relax slightly, perhaps viewing the mayor through the filter of authority he once held. Feeling a nudge from behind, Emma's mother took a step forward. "And we're kicking off our Books and Bakes night, opening the floor to stories not just about books, but about hope, connection, and realizing there is strength in unity." That small statement seemed to spark something in the room. Emma's heart sank and soared all at once. She felt pride stir within her mother, the way her confidence lit up the space. Greg caught her eye. "Is that so? A community initiative?" "Yes, we'll be sharing recipes, discussing books, and building connections," Emma replied, her voice steady despite the sudden weight of Greg's presence. "It's about fostering a sense of togetherness." Fascinating. But I hope you won't forget about the potential for subsidies, fundraising, or we could focus on what we're building right here," Jacob interrupted, his tone switching quickly to a sharp confidence. "The cooking classes Emma is inspired to lead can create more than just dishes. They can build community ties stronger than any policy could." That resonated. The room lit up, each face displaying a mix of hope and determination. Emma felt the swell of joy and unity blossom around her. They were ready to take charge of their own destiny, with or without the mayor's interference. Greg's brow furrowed. "But without robust support and sponsorship, this may be just what our community needs. Sometimes we need to lead from the grassroots up, not just rely on the title or authority to push change," Jacob challenged, glancing around the room at the nodding heads and warm smiles. "Imagine what it can do," Emma added, excitement flooding her voice. "We'll empower each other. Each dish cooked can tell a story, and every book shared can heal our pasts." The energy was palpable, flickering hope in every heart. Greg looked around, taking stock, a shadow of uncertainty creeping into his demeanor. "I see," he began, but before he could continue, a child piped up. "What if we build a garden together, too? Like in the books?" A young girl exclaimed, her small hands gesturing exuberantly. "Yes. Fresh produce from the garden could tie into our cooking classes." Emma's excitement soared. "It's not just about reading. It's about living our stories." As if ignited by the thought, the crowd began to bounce ideas around. Suddenly, the kitchen was alive again with sparkling enthusiasm. The small worries dissipated into the walls, and laughter returned. Even Greg couldn't help but be swept up in the warmth, his irritation melting away. "I must say, you have quite the dynamic community here," he conceded, a hint of reluctant admiration in his voice. Emma smiled wide, feeling the bonds of compassion and understanding strengthen. "Together we can make whatever we envision happen. This is a community effort." As they discussed further ideas, her mom and Sarah joined in easily, their laughter mingling with the crowd, momentarily bridging the distance that had seemed to exist for so long. Hours later, as the night wound down and the warmth still buzzed thick in the air, Emma stepped outside, the cool night enveloping her. Taking a deep breath, she felt lighter. Not only had they bridged the gap in their community, but they found their own home within each other again. And as she looked up to the stars twinkling above, Emma understood. This journey wasn't just about food or stories. It was about reclaiming narratives, transforming futures, and flourishing together. Standing there, she whispered into the night, "We can do this." And in her heart, she believed it deeply. Now, as a real challenge had been faced, her thoughts steadied on the future, connecting hearts through simple acts, teaching love through tales, and growth born from nurture. There was still so much to do. They would rise up together, ready to embrace challenges head-on. So here's where you come in. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that can inspire change. Leave a like now, because your support feeds the algorithm with positivity. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this transformative journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting transformation. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now.